Kia ora. My name's David Kinane. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how to use the code blocks in Scratch Junior. So let's get into it. In this Scratch Junior tutorial, we're going to look at the code blocks, and we're not going to look at the interface and all the options around creating sprites and the backgrounds, etc. If you want to look at that, that's in the previous video, and I really recommend, if you've not looked at Scratch Junior before, that you have a look at that. But now let's just dive into this little project we're going to make, and we'll look at all the blocks as we do that. I'm going to click on Home, and you can see I'm going to open up the Cross Safely project we've started here. If you remember in the last video, I just created the background, so I'm just going to click on Cross Safely and open it up. And I've made the background, but I haven't added a sprite. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm just going to choose a simple character. I'm going to choose somebody who's walking, so I'll use this guy here. Click on the tick. And what we've got here now is everything we need for our activity. What I want to happen is I want the guy to be on this side of the road, approach the zebra crossing. I want him to wait. I want him to move across to the other side and then move along. And we can do all of that with these blocks that we've got here. But first of all, we need to familiarize ourselves with this middle strip that we didn't look at in the last tutorial, where the actual code blocks are. So if we look at this, there's 6 sets of blocks here. The yellow blocks are the start blocks, and you'll see that they've got this round end. And we have these blocks here. Most students will be using the first two, which is the first one is when the green flag is clicked, this one here. The other one is when a particular sprite is touched to trigger an action. This one here, I've not used this, I'm not sure what it does. It probably looks like it's a mirror. We can experiment with that later. And these last two are sending messages. You can trigger messages. So the first one is send a particular message. So we can see send a red message or a brown message or a green message. And we can click on this. This one here says when I receive one of those messages, do an action, which is probably a bit complicated for this stage. So we're just going to look at the green flag option today. This is the start block. Then if we move along to the blue blocks, they are all to do with movement. So moving to the right, moving to the left, moving up and moving down, and then right turn, left turn, U-turns, and undo. Over here on the purple blocks, we've got the speech blocks, we've got the grow block, we've got the shrink block, we've got the slightly shrink block, we've got the return to normal size, and we've got the make it disappear block here. So it's all to do with looks. Here with sound, we've got a default sound of pop, and the next one we can record our own audio, and in another video a bit later on we will look at that. Then we've got the control blocks, the orange blocks, which is timer. We can wait, or we can stop, or we can speed things up, or we can turbo boost things up if we want to move things. And here is the repeat block. So even though this is called Scratch Junior, there are some quite sophisticated coding options available to students. And the final block are the end blocks, which is this one is just simply stop the code. And if we have multiple scenes, so let me just add another scene, you'll see how these blocks change. This is the repeat that block again. But I'm just going to add a new scene now, and you'll see something happen. So I'm just going to click on add a scene here, and I'm going to add a background, and we will do crossing near home, something like that. I'll get rid of the cat, we don't want that. So now that we've added a scene, Scratch Junior created a new block for us, this block here, and this means jump to the next scene. And we can use this if you're going to do a multiple page story. We can create the jump to next scene blocks, and this block is created only when you've created multiple scenes. So that's a really good feature to use, and we probably won't use it in this session. So now let's come back to the beginning here. We want to start coding our blocks. So the first thing we need to do is we need to drag out the green flag, because we want this all to start on the green flag. And part of this whole process is getting students to think about scale. This guy is way too big for the street. So what we're going to do is click on a purple block and get him to shrink. So this is all about experimentation. This means shrink by twice. I'm going to probably get him to shrink 5 times. And what I recommend the students do is they build their blocks in an iterative process rather than try and do the whole thing all in one go. let's make him a bit, let's do a block at a time. So I want a green flag and I want him to shrink 5 times. So let's click on the green flag. Yeah, that shrunk him to the size I want. That's where I want him to start. So before moving to my next block of code, I've moved the guy I want to cross the road to the place where I want to start and the size I want him to be. So just click off this. And now I want him to move. So I'm going to I want him to move to the right. And again, this is estimation. I'm going to think he's going to move 6 steps to the right. So again, let's click on the green flag and test. You'll see him shrink and move along. He's not quite made it to the zebra crossing. So let's change this to 8. Let's do it again. Click the green flag. He shrinks and goes along. Pretty close. Let's tweak it to make it 9. One more time. Very good. Now I want him to wait. So I want to come along to the wait block here, and I'm going to drag the wait block down. Obviously, we want him to check, so we're going to wait. Let's wait 3 seconds. Let's make it 2 seconds. We're not 32 seconds. That's ridiculous. 2 seconds. There we go. And so I'm going to then, once he's waited 2 seconds, I'm going to get him to speak. So now we've got all this across the page here. So let's just read this. And I often get students to read this from left to right. So when the green flag is clicked, shrink my character 5 times, move him 9 paces to the right, then wait for 2 seconds. They read those blocks and say them out as sentences. I find that helps them to think about the logic of everything. So now I want him to say something. So that comes back to the purple block with a speech block in here. I'm going to put this on here, and they're going to put an instruction to be safe. So I'm going to type in. So let's test it. Click the green flag. That's working well. So now we want him to move again. So this time I'm going to use the up block, and I'm going to guess it's going to be 4. Let's do that. So click the green flag, testing the block all the while. Crosses across. Now he's too big, so I want him to shrink again. So let's make him shrink twice more. Let's make him shrink a bit more than that. Let's make him shrink 4 times. Be quite tiny now. Oh, did it the wrong way. I've chose the wrong block. So I need to get rid of that. So to get rid of this block, I can just drag it and hold it over the top and let go, and it pops. So I need to use the shrink block. And I chose 4. Let's do it again. And that's probably too small. So let's do that. Let's make it 2. And see, you can see how you can keep building this up. Obviously now I'm going to get him to move along to the right again. So I drag in here a move along to the right block, and I'll put in 5. We'll finally do it one more time. If I now wanted this road safety information tutorial, I guess, that the students will be making, it was to change from the cityscape to the more the domestic setting. I would now add this red block here and put it on the end here. It says switch to scene 2. So I will do that now. So let's just do that, and you'll see it play. But this time, let's watch it in full size. I'm going to click on the full size icon up here, full screen up here. There's the full screen. Click on the green flag. Watch this play. And now we've switched to the next scene, and the new block can happen. Switch back to here, and I can add the code blocks in here. Nothing's going to happen until I add my character back in again. Let's have him back here again. And so now my code blocks now appear, and we can start doing a second set of coding if we want to about crossing the road. One of the main issues that I have with Scratch Junior is that all this creative work, all this problem solving, all this logical thinking that the students go through, if we don't actively think about how to share this, can just sit on the iPad. So the question now is, now that the students have done this work, how do we get this content shared to a wider audience via different tools. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can share to Seesaw and some other apps as well, so that the content that's on the iPad here inside Scratch Junior can be shared to a much wider audience. And that is what we're going to look at. So a very quick, rough overview of what the apps can do. Even though there seems to be limited choice, there's actually quite sophisticated amounts of coding that even young students can do, and we can create some really quite interesting challenges for the students to do. Thanks for watching this Sharp Kinane Scratch Junior tutorial. Until the next one, ka kite anō.